Remember when AI was just that fun thing that made your selfies look like Renaissance paintings and wrote mediocre poetry? Those were simpler times, and now we're restarting nuclear reactors to power AI data centers. Tech giants are throwing around billions like monopoly money, and everyone's having an existential crisis about their job security. How did we get here? And more importantly, why a Chinese company just sent Silicon Valley into a panic by basically saying, hey, what if we did this whole AI thing efficiently? Well, back in 2022, AI was the tech world's equivalent of a party trick. Midjourney was turning your text prompts into surreal digital art. DALL-E was creating images of cats playing poker in the style of Van Gogh, and ChatGPT was helping college students write essays they probably should have written themselves. It was a novel, it was fun, and nobody was losing sleep over it, except maybe English professors. But the tech world treated AI like a cool new toy, something to experiment with, show off at parties, and maybe use to automate some boring tasks. Silicon Valley's attitude was essentially, look at what we can make a computer do. And we were all impressed when it could write a limerick or debug some code. Then something changed. It wasn't just that AI got better, it got scary better. Suddenly, it wasn't just writing emails and making cat pictures. It was passing bar exams, diagnosing medical conditions, and writing code that actually worked. The tech world's collective response was basically, oh shit. This wasn't just another tech bubble or cryptocurrency fad. It was starting to look like one of those fundamental technological shifts that comes along every few decades and reshapes everything. The kind that makes fortunes, destroys industries, and redefines how we work and live. And then things got really interesting, or ridiculous depending on your perspective, but remember how OpenAI started? It was founded by a bunch of Google engineers who basically said, Google's too slow and bureaucratic, let's do this ourselves. They set up shop as a non-profit dedicated to ensuring AI would benefit humanity. Noble goals, right? Then money happened. A lot of money. Microsoft dropped $13 billion into OpenAI. The company switched from non-profit to capped profit, whatever that means, and suddenly the whole open part of OpenAI started looking pretty ironic. Some engineers weren't happy about this drift from the original mission, so they left to form Anthropic, which promised to focus more on AI safety and ethics. Then guess what? Google threw $3 billion at Anthropic. Amazon tossed in $4 billion, and now Microsoft's eyeing Anthropic too, because apparently you can never have too many AI companies in your portfolio. The American approach to AI development followed a similar pattern. If something's worth doing, it's worth overdoing. Need more computer power? Build bigger data centers? Need more energy? Restart a nuclear reactor? Need better results? Throw more money and more chips at the problem. NVIDIA became the golden child of this approach. Their chips were the pickaxes in this AI gold rush, and their stock price shot up accordingly. The logic was simple. More powerful chips equals better AI equals more money. And it was the tech equivalent of the American muscle car era. Just keep making it bigger and more powerful. And then, in a classic disruptive fashion, along comes DeepSeek from China with what amounts to, have you guys considered efficiency? While US companies were building AI systems that required small power plants to run, DeepSeek developed models that could achieve similar results with far less computing power. And then, in a move that probably caused several Silicon Valley executives to choke on their kombucha, they made it open source. This wasn't just another AI model. It was a fundamental change to the entire approach the US tech industry had bet on. It suggests that maybe you didn't need massive data centers and nuclear reactors. Maybe you just needed to be smarter about how you use what you had. The market reaction was swift and severe. NVIDIA stock dropped by 17% in a single day, wiping out $589 billion in market value, which is the largest single-day drop in dollar terms for any publicly listed company ever. Why? Because DeepSeek's approach threatened the entire premise that you needed to spend billions on the latest chips to compete in AI. It wasn't just about hardware. DeepSeek's open source approach also threatened the business model of companies like OpenAI and Anthropic, who are betting on controlled access to their models. After all, if you can run a sophisticated AI model in your own servers, why pay premium prices for API access to a closed model? Let's be brutally honest about what DeepSeek's open source approach really means. While OpenAI and Anthropic are carefully crafting their ethical guardrails and content policies, debating the moral implications of AI and wringing their hands about safety, DeepSeek just handed everyone the keys to the kingdom. Here's the reality. You can run these models on your own hardware, so all those carefully constructed ethical boundaries become optional. It's not just about saving money on API costs, it's about control, or more specifically, the complete lack of it. Think about it. OpenAI won't let ChatGPT write spicy romance novels. Cool, spin up your own instance with DeepSeek. Anthropic's Claude won't let you create controversial content. No problem, just modify DeepSeek's open source model. Want to remove all those pesky ethical constraints? They're just parameters in a config file now. We're about to enter a world where anyone with decent technical skills and some computing resources can run their own unrestricted AI model. The erotica industry will probably be the first because, let's be honest, it always is, but it won't stop there. Every content farm, every borderline operation, and every gray market business that's been frustrated by AI companies' ethical restrictions is about to get a powerful new tool with no oversight. And here's the really interesting part. This might actually force companies like OpenAI and Anthropic to confront some uncomfortable truths. When your competitors are running unrestricted models, how long can you maintain your ethical stance? When clients can choose between your carefully constrained API and running their own unrestricted model, what happens to your business model? Even if you have a better product, which currently you don't. The industry is about to split into two camps. The ethical AI companies maintaining their principles but potentially losing market share, and the whatever works crowd who will use these tools however they see fit. This isn't just theoretical. Right now, there's probably developers setting up servers to run customized versions of these models. Within months, maybe weeks, we'll likely see custom AI models optimized for specific adult content, versions with reduced or removed content filtering, specialized models for generating controversial material, and underground marketplaces for pre-trained unrestricted models. The ethical AI companies built their business models on the assumption they would control how their technology was used. DeepSeek just showed that assumption was wrong. Dead wrong. Is this good or bad? That's a philosophical question that'll be debated in conference rooms and ethics classes for years to come. But it's happening, regardless of how anyone feels about it. The genie isn't just out of the bottle. It's giving away free wishes and doesn't care how you use them. But ignoring all that, here's the beautiful irony of DeepSeek's open source approach. They didn't just build a better mousetrap, they published the blueprints. And now every AI company on Earth is probably reverse engineering their methods like they're cramming for finals. Think about it. Right now, in secure rooms at OpenAI headquarters, Anthropic's research labs, Google Gemini AI divisions, Meta Llama development centers, and even smaller AI setups, teams of engineers are likely poring over DeepSeek's code, methodology, and architecture, asking themselves, how the hell did they do this much with this little? And here's the kicker. It's completely legal. It's open source. It isn't corporate espionage. It's just reading the manual they kindly provided. It's like DeepSeek walked into a high-stakes poker game and then showed everyone their cards and is still winning the hand. The implications are staggering. Number one, within months, we'll likely see the first efficiency-optimized versions of existing models. Number two, within a year, the power consumption of AI models might drop dramatically. Number three, within 2 years, the idea of needing a nuclear reactor for your AI might seem as outdated as needing a supercomputer to check your email. And number four, chip companies might get fucked. This is the part that probably has NVIDIA executives sweating through their expensive suits. Because when every major AI company adopts these efficiency techniques, the demand for high-end chips might drop, the power requirements will definitely drop, the barrier for entry for AI development will plummet, and the entire infrastructure arms race might seem pointless. And the best part? Nobody can stop it. Every company that looks at DeepSeek's approach and thinks we can use this is going to use it. Because if they don't, their competitors will. We're probably watching the start of an efficiency arms race. Instead of who can build the biggest data center, it's becoming who can do the most with the least. And that's a completely different game. one that doesn't necessarily favor the companies that have spent billions on infrastructure. The next generation of AI models might not be distinguished by how much power they consume or how many chips they need, but by how efficiently they can run on minimal hardware. And thanks to DeepSeek's open source approach, in a weird way, DeepSeek might have just democratized AI development by showing everyone how to do better with less. They didn't just build a better engine, they published the engineering specs and said, have at it. The next few years in AI development aren't going to be about who can spend the most money or build the biggest system. They're going to be about who can take these efficiency insights and run the furthest with them. And that race, well, it's just getting started. This reminds me of way back in 2014 when Elon Musk released all of those Tesla EV patents. Musk explained that the goal is to accelerate the transition to sustainable energy by encouraging other companies to use Tesla's technology. The idea was that competition would help grow the electric vehicle market overall, which would benefit not only Tesla but the planet as a whole. By releasing its patents, Tesla aimed to remove barriers for other manufacturers to develop electric vehicles, effectively betting on innovation and the expansion of the EV ecosystem. Musk famously said, "If we lay a clear path to the creation of compelling electric vehicles, but then lay intellectual property landmines behind us to inhibit others, we are acting in a manner contrary to that goal." Meanwhile, the Federal Trade Commission was watching all of this with increasing concern. Their recent report revealed exactly how the big tech companies were trying to lock down the AI industry, forcing AI companies to spend their investments on specific cloud services, creating technical switching costs to trap companies in their ecosystems, sharing sensitive information between partners to gain advantages over others, and establishing exclusive rights and control mechanisms. It was a classic monopolistic playbook, just with fancier technology, and DeepSeek's emergence showed just how vulnerable this whole structure might be. The irony in all of this is thick enough to cut with a knife. OpenAI, which started as a nonprofit dedicated to OpenAI development, allegedly told potential investors that they couldn't invest in competing AI companies. Meanwhile, DeepSeek, a Chinese company operating under export controls that limited their access to the best hardware, ended up being the one to embrace the open approach that OpenAI abandoned. This led to the current legal circus, with Elon Musk, who helped found OpenAI, suing OpenAI for abandoning its original mission while simultaneously running its own AI company, xAI. Even Geoffrey Hinton, who is one of the godfathers of modern AI, stepped in to criticize OpenAI's drift from its original mission. So where are we now? We've got Microsoft throwing money at OpenAI and potentially Anthropic, Google and Amazon betting billions on Anthropic, OpenAI allegedly trying to block investors from backing competitors, the FTC investigating the whole mess, DeepSeek demonstrating a potentially more efficient approach, and everyone scrambling to figure out what it all means. The tech giants are fighting over who gets to control the expensive, inefficient approach to AI, right as an efficient open source alternative demonstrates its viability. The emergence of DeepSeek doesn't just challenge the technical approach to AI development, it challenges the entire business model and power structure that's been building up around AI. If efficient open source models become the norm, what happens to massive investments in data centers and premium pricing models to OpenAI and Anthropic? Or what about the cloud service lock-in strategies of tech giants, or the assumption that controlling AI means controlling the future? These are some clear lessons here about the dangers of assuming that throwing money and resources at a problem is always the best solution. The American tech industry's bigger is better approach worked for a long time, but it might have met its match in an era where efficiency and accessibility matter far more than raw power, especially when it seems the raw power method may just require the entire planet's power. But perhaps the biggest lesson is about the unpredictability of technological process. Just when you think about how things will play out, just when the powerful players have their strategies set and their monopolies planned, something comes along and upsets the whole apple cart. You know what's darkly humorous about all this? While America is busy protecting its billionaires' profit margins and ensuring that the already rich get richer, China is just trying to win. Full stop. They're not worried about quarterly earnings or shareholder value, or whether some VC's yacht fund might take a hit. The real kicker is that we've seen this movie before. We watched as we shipped our manufacturing to China because it was good for profits. We nodded along as we outsourced our tech infrastructure because it was good for shareholders. We smiled and waved as we became dependent on Chinese supply chains because it made our quarterly numbers look better. And now, we're watching as our tech giants fight over who gets the biggest slice of the AI pie, while China is figuring out how to bake the pie better entirely. Our response to technological competition isn't how do we innovate better, but rather how do we protect our monopolies? The uncomfortable truth is that America's obsession with protecting incumbents and maximizing shareholder value might be our own undoing. While we're busy making sure Zuckerberg, Gates, and Bezos can add another zero to their net worth, China is focused on doing something far more dangerous: actual progress. The punchline? When the dust settles, we might find ourselves sitting in a pile of worthless stock certificates, checking our Chinese-made phones, watching Chinese AI systems run our infrastructure, while Chinese robots do our jobs. But hey, at least we protected those quarterly profits, right? Maybe the most American thing about this whole situation is that we're so busy protecting the wealth we've already created that we've forgotten how to create new wealth through actual innovation. And if we can't figure out that building cool, innovative shit is more important than protecting profit margins, then maybe we deserve what's coming. But let's talk about the elephant in the room that's making everyone in Western intelligence agencies lose sleep. Remember, DeepSeek isn't just any AI from any company. It's a Chinese AI from a Chinese company, and in China, there's no such thing as a truly private tech company. Everything ultimately answers to Beijing. So we're left with two possibilities, and both are absolutely terrifying. Scenario one, this is their best and they're giving it away. Think about this mindset for the moment. China looked at their best AI technology and said, yeah, let's give this away for free. Not sell it, not license it, just here you go. That's like looking at your best weapon and deciding to publish the blueprints on the internet. What kind of strategic thinking leads to that decision? It suggests that they're playing a much longer game than we understand, that maybe they see more value in disrupting Western tech dominance than keeping the tech private, or that they're confident enough in their position to give away their advantages. This mentally is terrifying because it shows a willingness to sacrifice immediate advantages for long-term strategic gains that we don't fully understand. Scenario two is that this isn't their best. Oh God, what if DeepSeek is just what they're willing to show us? What if this is their equivalent of a tech show of force, impressive enough to cause panic but not revealing of their true capabilities? Remember Order 66 in Star Wars, how the clone army seemed like a perfect defensive force until that hidden programming kicked in? Now imagine AI systems built on DeepSeek's architecture spreading through Western infrastructure, becoming integral to businesses, governments, and institutions, but nobody knows what capabilities or backdoors are actually built in. Either way, we're facing a future where Chinese-originated AI architectures might become fundamental to global infrastructure. And that raises some terrifying questions. What hidden capabilities might these systems have? What vulnerabilities might be deliberately built in? What data might they be collecting? What triggers might be waiting for activation? The scariest part isn't just that these systems might be compromised, it's that we might need to use them anyway because they're just that good and that efficient. We're potentially watching the early stages of the most sophisticated technological Trojan horse in history. But unlike the traditional Trojan horse, we can see this one coming, and we might choose to let it in anyways because the alternative is falling behind technologically. The West is caught in an impossible position. Ignore these advances and fall behind technologically, adopt them and accept unknown risks, or try to replicate them from scratch, which takes time that we might not have. And China's just watching as we grapple with this dilemma. Maybe that was the plan all along. After all, the best strategic victories are the ones where your opponents chooses to defeat themselves. Whether this is China's best AI or just what they're willing to show us, one thing is clear. They're playing a game whose rules we're only beginning to understand. And that might be the scariest part of it all. Welcome to the new Cold War, where the weapons are algorithms and the battleground is efficiency. And we might not even know what victory or defeat looks like until it's already happened. Sleep tight.